Welcome back to another episode of the Navs Effect podcast. I'm your host, Naveen Ganglani. We got an exciting one today. Simoun Redoblado joins us once again. He and I will recap some of the happenings of the UP LaSalle first matchup. The first of what I think will be 10 matchups in 2025's calendar year between arguably the two fiercest rivals in college basketball right now. So we're gonna get into that, and we're gonna also talk about some other happenings in college basketball, including some of the recent moves, some of the moves that haven't taken place yet, and some of the other teams that we're looking maybe as possible contenders, possible sleepers, maybe possible disappointment teams. We'll find out, and all that jazz. Simon, welcome back to the podcast. It's nice to have you here. Many of you know Simon through his columns and articles on All Star Magazine. He hasn't written one in a while, but I'm sure as we ramp up the college basketball season and with the NBA finals, he'll probably contribute one or two pieces here and there. And he is someone who is a common guest of this podcast, someone I like to have on, especially after intriguing basketball games, particularly when it's UP versus LaSalle, given the schools that he and I graduated from. So, Simon, welcome to the pod. How are you, man? You didn't get to watch his game live. You got to watch it on replay. um, did it change the expectations and the feeling of watching the game, knowing that the result was already determined, or were you even more annoyed after you watched some of the plays and what transpired? Particularly how it felt like anyone could have just scored, and I'm not saying no one played defense. There was defense in this game. There was just incredible shot making more. But there were some plays also that, for both teams where I was like, you let that guy just get to the rim without stopping the ball at all. I mean, I know it's a preseason game, guys, but come on. Nevertheless, it was exciting. It was thrilling. How was your replay?
Annoyed isn't the term that I would use. Navs, I would say intrigued because I saw that preview, okay, on Messenger in our group chat that we have, and you tagged me. You said, Juan Redoblado, masaya mag-podcast bukas, hehe. And when I read that, Navs, a lot of things went through my mind. One, is he provoking me? Two, aba, mukhang masaya tong isang to ah. And three, he said, he he. He didn't say, he he he. There's a difference. So, thinking about these important things, I went ahead and watched the game and I said, man, if I pulled up, if I called for a substitution, I probably would have made the 25-footer there, Navs. No one could miss, even if their income tax returns depended on it.
I like how you pointed that out, the difference of he from he, right? That's your English teacher magic at work there. Now, let's go through some statistics real quick before we get into this game, because when I got home from this game, one of my first thoughts was, this is one of the craziest basketball games I've ever watched live, just because of the insane shot making. I mean, both teams combined for 205 points in 40 minutes. I mean, I'm not that good at math. I think you've told me before that you're not that good at math, but if we're calculating it, that per minute, that means how many points were scored. Let's do a math thing real quick. Sorry, I'm using a calculator, guys. I mean, actually, I'm not sorry because I graduated high school years ago. I don't really want to go back. That's 5.1 points per minute that both teams scored in this college basketball game, which just goes to show, one, more than anything, the incredible talent and skill both teams have, because some plays were actually good defense, just better offense, but also not exactly a game that would make the 2004 Detroit Pistons be like, ooh, that's fun, right? But let's take a look at some of the statistics. DLSU shot 59.7% from the field. They went 43 of 72. So that's basically 60%. Ironically, in a very non-analytics in 2025 fashion, out of the 72 shots, only 15 were three-point attempts. So the eye test also proved that, by the way, how the guards kept penetrating, the guys kept trying to get to the paint. And from 3-point range, ULSU shot 6 of 15 from three. Also got to the free throw line 23 times, made 14 out of 23. So take with that what you want to. 61% from the free throw line. I guess the free throw curse of LaSalle is still well and alive. And I'm not sure if that's ever going to go away. Jacob Cortez finished with 31 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. zero turnovers. Tyrese Halliburton, wherever you are, that's a stat line that you would approve of. Probably celebrating a finals run right now. But 31-5-4 with zero turnovers. That's the most underrated part of his performance. He had no miscues. In his 27 and a half minutes on the court, LaSalle outscored UP by 17 points when Jacob Cortez was on the court. In a game that LaSalle won by 7, they outscored UP by 17 when he was on the floor. 12 out of 16 from the field, 2 out of 3 from three-point line, 5 out of 7 from the free throw line. Just a nearly perfect game, honestly, for Jacob. And Kian was sensational. Kian had the kind of performance that normally would be the best performance out of a player from a winning team, but Jacob was just so great. That doesn't discount what Kian did, though. I mean, 20 points on 9 out of 15 from the field, plus 9 when he was on the court, had 4 rebounds, had 2 assists, had 2 turnovers. So the two guards of DLSU, Cortez and Baclaan, in a combined 50 minutes, give or take, had just 2 turnovers. LaSalle as a team turned the ball over 11 times. UP, to be fair, also turned it over only just 11 times. So they did a good job taking care of the handle as well. They didn't even need a big Mike Phillips game. Mike Phillips finished with 3 out of 6 shooting, 8 points, 7 rebounds, played only 25 minutes. And one of the key notes I took down, Simon, in this game was that when DLSU went on the third quarter run, Mike Phillips was actually on the bench. They went with Mason at the 5, which I found very intriguing because I thought that against UP in particular, Mike would be DLSU's main factor. Now, again, it's only one preseason game so far, so there's still a lot to be told about this rivalry in 2025. But I found that interesting. Let's see what else here. Luis Pablo, I thought, had good minutes, 5 out of 9 from the field, 11 points and 6 boards. Mason Amos, let's look at his stats real quick here. Where is it? Where is it? There you go. 20 minutes, 21 minutes, technically 3 out of 5 from the field, 6 points. But I thought he played some pretty good defense, which is a plus for him because he has been criticized for his defense in the past. But he had some big defensive plays there in the third quarter that I thought was big for the LaSalle side of things. UP, on the other hand, 48.6% from the field. At one point in the first half, they were shooting 64%, and it felt like they were never going to miss a shot for the rest of their lives again. Felt like every shot they took would go in. Let's see here. From 3-point range, they shot 12 out of 26. So in a game where they lost by 7, UP had 6 more 3-point shots made than DLSU did. So that's 18 extra points from the 3-point line, which if you're LaSalle is an encouraging sign that you got outshot from downtown and you still managed to win this game with a comfortable lead at the end of the clock. Free throws, 17 out of 22. UP shot better from the field. Rebounds, pretty even. 35 DLSU, 37 UP. We already said that the turnovers were equal, 11-11. 23 assists for UP, 15 assists for DLSU. Points from turnovers, 18 for UP, 16 for DLSU. Points in the paint, 58 for DLSU, 32 for UP. This was where DLSU's big advantage was. UP had no rim protection or paint protection at all against LaSalle. And that was really the moments where you missed both QMB for his rim deterrence, but also Francis with his weak side help defense and how he could save some buckets sometimes with his athleticism. Fast break points 15 to 8 for UP. Second chance points 19 to 15 for UP. Fast break points from turnovers 5 to 2 for UP. Biggest lead, DLSU was up 21-9 early in the first. UP went up 6, 60 to 54 towards the end of the second quarter. But and points per possession 1.29 for DLSU, 1.26 for UP. Even in the NBA, it's not easy to achieve those stats, ladies and gentlemen. Lead changes 13 times the game was tied 14. So that just goes to show how electric this contest was. Overall, fantastic game. It was absolutely the kind of game that you would just love to watch if you're a basketball aficionado, particularly for the offensive side of the ball and the skill side of the ball. Defense sometimes lacking, but again, like I said, sometimes good defense, just better offense. Ultimately, though, two things. One, DLSU's main guys played better than UP's main guys did. Actually, three things. I have a third thing. Two, UP had no counter for DLSU in the paint. So the next time these two teams match up, probably in the finals of FilOil, I'm gonna look at that area in particular, how UP will adjust. And three, I thought UP particularly lost this game late in the fourth when there were three straight possessions where Francis Noruka went one-on-one against Mike Phillips. And by the way, I don't want that to sound like I'm disparaging what Noruka did because I thought he had a pretty impressive game. In the first quarter, when DLSU threatened to blow this game out of proportion, it was Noruka who I thought actually kept UP alive before their three-point barrage started. But late there in the fourth quarter, going one-on-one against Mike Phillips, DLSU is gonna take that anytime. They're gonna be like, you wanna go one-on-one against our best defender, the best rim protector in the UAP, be our guest. And it worked to LaSalle's favor. And there's still a lot to unpack, particularly with the players who performed in this game for both sides. But now I'm gonna let you have the floor. Please tell me some of your observations.
It's funny that you mentioned Luis Pablo, Mason Amos, and Kian Baclaan all in a row because the term that came to my mind was revenge game. All three of those guys basically played revenge games against UP.
Sorry,
Mason,
can I just share one thing in line with what you said, Simon?
oh,
Kian told me after the game. I was supposed to save this for the article I'm writing, but I'm gonna say it here. Kian told me after the game, right after UP beat LaSalle in Game 3 of the finals last season, they have a group chat, the four residency boys, Jacob Cortez, Baclaan, Amos, Pablo. And the actual name of the group chat is Residency Boys. He said that. Kian was the first guy to message, and it just said two words, bawit tayo. So they had this game circled. They didn't know the exact date, but they had this matchup circled in their calendars. And the way they came out in that first quarter was crazy. Sorry for cutting you off. Please continue. I just wanted to add that tidbit.
I'm not surprised because Kian Baclaan's NU Bulldogs were eliminated by the Fighting Maroons in the final four of season 85. Mason Amos, was it this final game with Ateneo?
Yes,
The
season
final four,
86, the final four,
season
yeah.
86. They fell at the hands of the Fighting Maroons when the Ateneo Blue Eagles were the fourth seed. And of course, Luis Pablo, and I don't need to say anything more. So credit to those three. They played big. And one thing I observed, Navs, if Topex Robinson can indeed get that buy-in from both Kian Baclaan and Mason Amos, two of the most high-octane shooters in the UAAP, if he can get both of those guys to commit to coming off the bench, not only against UP but against other teams perhaps, then when Cortez comes out of the game, you don't really lose any firepower because those two are coming off the bench, bringing the ammunition with them. So, perfectionist tayo, Nabs. Siyempre, titignan natin, amidst all the buckets being scored, titignan natin yung mga pwede pang i-improve on both sides, okay? For DLSU, I think they can get Mike Phillips more involved. I mean, if they could score over 100 points with a Cortez Baclaan-led attack, what more if they get the person that we consider to be the presumptive MVP more involved in their offense. I know that he and KQ had that 4-5 pick and pop going last season. So I think more pick and roll action with Motor Mike will open up more shooters for LaSalle, as if they weren't already really open yesterday. And then I think they have to limit UP's transition points the next time they meet. As you said, UP had a 15-8 advantage in terms of fast break points. So, of course, yung mga defensive coordinators ng LaSalle will look to limit them in that way. And of course, contain Francis Naruka. If it wasn't painfully obvious, Navs, the Fighting Maroons, I'm 99% sure, are going to go with Naruka as their FSA for this season. Much love to Kingsley Udodo, but yeah, I think Francis Naruka made the final argument to solidify his case to be the FSA for season 88 on the UP side. Speaking of the UP side, find a go-to guy ASAP. Okay? Yung binanggit mong final exchange between Noruka and Mike Phillips down the stretch in the fourth quarter. I don't really lay the blame at the feet of Noruka, although it would have been nice if he had made those shots. I lay the blame at all of them. Kasi
Mm.
nagtitingin sila for several possessions. Pasa natin dito, sige ako na yung titira. Obviously, when JD was there, when Francis Lopez was there, meron kang mas definite na pecking order. hierarchy. Pagdating ng crunch time, akin na yung bola. And of course, you also miss QMB in that regard because that guy was clutch as well. Okay, so find the go-to guy ASAP. And I'm looking at Harold Alarcon. I was actually expecting him to get 90% of the touches in crunch time. Didn't happen. He missed that one outside shot. But whether it's him or Jerry, Scary Terry, whoever it is, kailangan may go-to guy. Speaking of go-to guy, Ray Remogat has to get rid of the ball faster when he's being double teamed. Ang ganda nung defensive scheme na yon sa kanya Navs nung first quarter pa lang, hindi siya makapalag because he was getting blitzed
Yep.
of
Yep.
these things. Kasi that's how much respect Lasal has for Remogat, who we remember had that breakout game in season 85 towards the tail end of that season against whom? Lasal. But if Remogat is going to keep being baited, all right, into just hugging the ball and having little time to actually do something productive with it off those double teams, UP will be in for a long night every time they go up against LaSalle because they're just gonna go back to that defensive scheme. And of course, as you said, get better rim protection. Whether that's zoning up a bit or getting Francis Noruka or Sean Alter or even Seven Gagate to really stand there in the post and say no entry, or I don't know, bring in some extra muscle somewhere else. Kailangan talaga merong better rim protection in season 88.
So yeah, a few points about what you said that I agree with and some I want to add. First of all, I was very surprised we didn't see a team go for an extended period of time playing the zone defense. Now, maybe they're keeping it in their back pockets for future matchup because like we said, these two teams are going to face each other a lot in 2025. But at the same time, too, I thought, why not go zone if you're UP yesterday? Because LaSalle's guards were killing UP's guards on defense in terms of the penetration and the ball screen action. Then I was thinking, but if you go zone against LaSalle, Topex is gonna put Mason on the court. Kian and Jacob can shoot. Andre Dungo can shoot. Marasigan can shoot when he's not in foul trouble. They didn't even have Abadam in this game, who might be their best outside shooter. Makalalag can shoot as well. Just a note, Abadam missed the game because of an ankle injury. No LeBron James died as well because of a minor wrist injury. And Jacob Baylor missed the game for UP. I thought Jacob could have been someone who really helped them because they needed some contributions from the wings, right? That's where UP, you can see they lost a lot of depth this season with Francis leaving. So Jacob's in Italy right now. Congratulations to him representing the Philippines in the Adidas Euro camp. So that might be the reason why I didn't go with a zone, but I would have wanted to see how that zone would have performed because honestly, no defense was working until the end when DLSU got a few stops in succession to close the game out. With Remogat, you can see one of the challenges they're gonna have early. Now, JD and Remogat essentially have the same amount of athleticism. I think JD is a better higher leaper than Remogat, especially with the jump shots. But in terms of handling the ball and the speed, they're pretty much even. The difference was, and even JD had a hard time with Mike. It's really all Phillips, right? When the ball screen comes for UP, Phillips comes outside and traps. And because of his length, athleticism, and size, you could see sometimes the guards, not just from UP, but from really every team the Sal faces, they tend to pick up their dribble, right? Because otherwise it might get stolen from them. What that does, however, to the offense that LaSalle is facing is number one, it could force a turnover, it could force a bad pass, or even if you don't turn the ball over, suddenly you lost 4 or 5 seconds from the shot clock just like that, and you have to take an ill-advised jump shot. So that's what the defensive Phillips and those traps can do sometimes. So what's the counter? Should Remogat just go one-on-one more, not call for a ball screen so Phillips doesn't come out and try to beat Baclan or Cortez off the dribble? I think he could do that. It was a good learning experience for Ray. Welcome to the big leagues, Ray. Welcome to the a potential finals matchup. And I'm not saying that he's not ready for it. I just thought that he might need a little more games, a little more reps in him. Because the LaSalle team he faced in 85, you mentioned, was not a Final Four team. That was a team, honestly, in equal footing. I think UE might have even have a better record over them because of tiebreaker. But then that's something Ray needs to work on. He needs to watch the film and see what he can do different. Where else can he attack? Maybe he goes off the ball. Maybe let one of the wings initiate, and he moves off the ball, get the ball, and then go to work, right? So, but that's something that the UP coaching staff is going to teach him. One more thing I noticed, Simon, is that I thought Jerry was becoming UP's closer in some of the first preseason games, particularly that game against NU when the Bulldogs took a 67-66 lead halfway through the fourth, and Jerry scored like 9 straight points. But Jerry, Harold, Terrence, Raylan to some degree. They're good players, but they're more jump shooters than they are penetrators and attackers. Right? They like looking for that mid-range shot. And I think Harold might have to be the guy that kind of learns how to get to the rim more because he's the taller guy. He's probably the quickest from all of them because of how long his strides are when he attacks. And UP needs more of that because like we said, they lost Francis. Like, would you agree with me that the team constructed right now is constructed to succeed with Francis in the roster? I think it's fair to say that,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
right? Right, yeah. So who is going to you can't replicate Francis's athleticism. Lopez, we're talking about Lopez here. His athleticism and they missed his transition a lot. They miss those easy 6 to 7 points he can get by getting a layup or a dunk or a free throw because he got fouled in transition. They missed that. And if you look at the score, they lost by 7. So it sounds like simple math, but sometimes the math adds up. Here we are talking about math again. But they miss that and they need someone to kind of replicate that. Not exactly the same, but do a little bit of what he was doing because what he did, he might not have always scored the ball. He might not have always had the best passes. But because of Lopez's ability to get to the paint and attack, that opened out kick out opportunities, that opened out cutting opportunities. And I don't want to go too hard on UP because if you look at it, they lost their 3 best players from last season. QMB, JD, and Francis. They lost their 3 best players. LaSalle lost its best player in KQ. However, here's one more thing I'm gonna add, Simon. The difference with the LaSalle team UP is gonna face in 2025 from the LaSalle teams they've faced the last two years, really, is LaSalle for 40 minutes is gonna have at least one elite college basketball point guard who knows how to get to the paint. In basketball in 2025, the number one thing you have to do is get in the paint, get multiple defenders. Why? Because you can score or you can kick out to your teammates for shooting opportunities. And over again, especially in that fourth quarter, Jake was getting to the paint. Pull up, spin move, layup. Okay, you send 2 guys to him. There's Pablo open rolling to the rim. There's Amos open in the left corner for the kick out 3-point shot. And they have 2 of those guys, Baclaan and Cortez, who can do it whenever they want to, honestly. UP hasn't had to deal with the LaSalle team that had that quality before. Because take note, last year, who was LaSalle's point guards? Leon Ramiro, Rubico, and I'm missing one more guy here.
Dungo.
Dumo, who's naturally a two-guard, in my opinion. And now he's like the third ball handler, which is good for him and his development because he's not forced to do more like he was when he was a rookie. And then a year before that, the lead ball handler was Nelly and Nonoy is the second option. Nonoy was more of a jump shooter, kind of like how Jerry plays, right? Nelly was also a pull-up jump shot kind of guy or a pass first teammate. He was looking to set up his teammates first. Now you have 2 guards in Cortez and Baclaan who's getting to the paint at will. That's what they want to do. And they push the pace in transition like UP does. You notice that? That they were pushing, they were running, miss or make. They were pushing the ball down, trying to force the action. I'm not gonna say yet that this LaSalle team is better than the LaSalle team last year. I'm not ready to go that far. But I felt UP had more guys to guard KQ because of the wing position, like Francis, like QMB protecting the rim, compared to now where there's more defensive responsibility on UP's guards to contain the ball handlers. And yesterday, they couldn't contain the 2 guys who combined for 51 points.
I don't know if LaSalle fans are gonna go after me here, but I'm gonna draw up this analogy. And with all due respect to the Aljun Melesios and Andre Caracots of the world. I think LaSalle hasn't seen this tremendous firepower in their backcourt since Mac Cardona and Joseph Yo were playing alongside each other.
Hmm.
Grabe yung um, napakadaming options na pwedeng gawin nung dalawang yun. And they didn't even start the game together. It was Cortez who got the starting nod. Baclaan came off the bench. But we all know the preseason is one big experiment. Somewhere down the line, and I'm not even expecting it in the first round, Nabs, siguro sa second round, maybe even sa Final Four na. Pagsasabay na yun ni Topex.
Hmm.
Cortez and Baclaan. And I mean, Lord have mercy on any team that has to guard that combination. And whoever, kung sino man yung wing na matitira dun sa lineup, like of course, Baclaan and Cortez, whoever's gonna be the three, go do push-ups in the corner because you're going to be open 99% of the time. So I want to give Baclaan and Cortez their flowers in that regard. Now, uh, on the UP side, again, I don't want anyone on that side of the fence wasting time thinking about what would have been if Francis Lopez had stayed. Move on, people. Francis is going to be playing in Japan. He's not going to be playing in season 88.
Hmm.
So, I think it would be unwise if what we did was humanap tayo ng player na 100% identical replica nung mamang yon. You're going to fail.
You're not
Walang
going to
katulad.
find
You're not gonna find
a
a
replica.
six
Yeah.
five, 6'6" guy who, I mean, literally lives up to his namesake, LeBron, in terms of athleticism, right? So let's not go there. However, yung fundamentals na ginagawa niya, exactly what you were saying, uh, paint penetration, opening up shots on the perimeter. I honestly thought, Navs, that in earlier preseason games, that person was going to be, again, Harold Alarcon because he'd bulked up, okay, and he'd become more aggressive. And I felt that he had the potential to take that next level, something that JD had always done better than him, and that is to set up his teammates as proficiently as he could score. So again, hindi pa natin nakikita yung side na yon ni Harold. But hey, it's your fifth and final year, my man. Ilabas mo na yan lahat. If you want to make it to the PBA, if you want to attract those lucrative offers that your good friends have been getting overseas, kailangan makita natin yan. And you said earlier you weren't gonna be hard on UP. Well, I don't know if this is me being hard on them, but we need more from Harold. We need more from Captain Jerry in that sense. Set up your teammates para hindi nahihirapan yung mga iba to get their shot going. And again, there has to be a go-to guy in the clutch. Hindi pwedeng nagtitinginan, hindi pwedeng kamot ulo, hindi pwedeng um, your turn, my turn. That has to be. All right. I wanted to ask you this question, Evs. What were
Go.
your impressions of the live crowd in attendance? I mean, again, we are so far from the grand stage of the UAAP finals, but the way things were going last night, parang napakaseryoso nitong mga to ah. How did you feel that crowd around you from both sides?
Hmm. I was surprised that it wasn't packed. Honestly, the upper box section of FilOil, madaming empty seats. Even the lower box where there are usually a lot of, and I went there thinking, you know how when the FilOil arena gets really packed, sobrang mainit, and you start sweating sometimes because of the intensity and how hot the arena can get. I was like, nalalamigan ako. Parang malamig, bago lang ba yung aircon kasi newly renovated. I looked at the crowd. I was like, huh, is it because it's a Saturday game and not, no, originally this was supposed to be a June 1 Sunday game, then they moved it to Saturday, May 31. So is it because more people just would watch on a Sunday than a Saturday? But I don't think that's uh of validations. I was surprised. Maybe yun nga, I mean, it's still early in the college basketball season. I think there'll be more people when these two teams face each other again. I will say though, I felt like the LaSalle crowd outnumbered the UP crowd. Or if I don't know about numbers because I don't have the gate attendance per se right now. But I'll tell you this, Simon. There was something extra in the Lasal crowd. There was something extra na parang, yes, it's a preseason game, it's a FilOil game, not the UAAP, but we want to watch our team win because of how last year's finals ended. And you felt that with the crowd, the way there was more trash talk from the Lasal crowd than the UP crowd yesterday. And then there was, I think his name's Tito Animo, his name is Vincent T. And when he's in attendance, he's the guy who's always like walking in every row where there are LaSalle fans and egging them on to cheer. He was doing that first quarter onward. So I felt and I don't want to disrespect fan bases because I know fans of every team go to the games wanting their team to win. I will say I felt from an eagerness, yung atat manalo perspective. There was something extra from the LaSalle crowd yesterday, and I understand why because the way they lost the game three, the way they lost the championship was, it's a kind of stuff that you lose sleep over if you're a diehard fan of any sports team. So, like Baklan, they probably had this game circled for a while, but the UP crowd was still obviously, up to par and passionate like they usually are. They had some fun with Baklaan. Baklaan had some fun with them towards the second half, doing this to them, trash talking every UP player he was scoring on. And the way he and Cortez were playing, it felt like those early 2000 LaSalle teams with Ratualo and Cortez just they were like, we're gonna go to the court. I'm not talking about the DLSU team now. I'm talking about the DLSU team from wow, 25 years ago now. Crazy. They had this mindset of we're gonna go in the court. We know we're better than you guys. We're gonna beat you guys, and we're gonna let you know we beat you guys. And there was some of that with this Baklaan and Cortez combo. And it's not the first time they did it. Let's not forget in Asia Basket on the road in Ateneo when they had that comeback in the fourth quarter against the Blue Eagles. After securing the game, they waved the Ateneo fans goodbye on their own court. On their own court. There's a swagger with this DLSU team that's, if the KQ Mike Phillips DLSU team from the last 2 years were, oh wow, these are like good boy guys, fun to root for. Baclan and Cortez aren't like that, man. I mean, they're good guys, obviously, but they're not like, oh, you're gonna think we're such good boys. No, they're good. They're like, we're gonna trash talk you and we're gonna play with some swagger, right? And I feel like UP needs to match that swagger to some degree. I feel like I don't think UP can beat this LaSalle team in a shootout. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think they can beat this LaSalle team in a we're just gonna score more than you guys. For this current UP team to beat this current LaSalle team, it has to be defense oriented. It has to be, we're gonna be physical with you. We're gonna, foul you guys. Sometimes we're gonna foul you guys a little extra na matutumba kayo. And we're gonna make you guys think twice about attacking because we're gonna have someone ready to send the message whenever you try to, and we're gonna beat you guys in the rebounds. We're gonna outmuscle you guys. We're gonna also talk our own trash. And I think that's how UP needs to beat LaSalle. Yesterday, I felt like LaSalle baited UP into a shootout kind of game where it was firepower versus firepower. And I can't blame UP because, like I said, they were shooting 64% in the first half. And they were making every three they were taking. Chico Briones made like two fadeaway jump shots. Miguel Inigas made like a contested shot with someone's hand on his face. Noruka was hitting pull up jumpers. But then by the second half, I thought that the pace favored LaSalle more. And a quick word on Alarcon. I'm with you that I think Alarcon has the physical tools and the skills to be that go-to guy, to kind of be like the next wave of college superstar that ends up being the pro that goes abroad. But, and this is no knock on him because he's playing to the system that Coach Gold is trying to implement. He's not exactly a volume guy. You know what I mean? He's not the guy that will be like, okay, I just made two straight shots, give me the ball, magi-heat check ulit ako. The only time I saw him really do that was that UE game at FilOil for the UAP last season when he had a career high. I think it was 33 points. That was when he's like, okay, give me the ball, I'm gonna take the shot every time. And it worked. But more often than not, Harold is more, I'm gonna play within the flow of the game, I'm gonna play within the system of the game. And that's also helpful to UP because UP is strength in numbers. They attack by a collective, right? So it's almost like a battle of philosophies where if you're Alarcon, you're like, okay, my team needs me to be more of a scorer, more of a go-to guy. And I think there will be situations in the UAP this season where they will need him to be like a go-to guy. But at the same time, do you do that at the cost of going away from helping the system which has worked for so long? So I can understand maybe that internal battle to some degree, right? However, the good news for UP is there's still a lot of time to fix things up.
There's one more thing that we have to say about this game, Navs. This game will never ever happen again. And I don't just mean the literal occurrence that happened on May 31, 2025 in San Juan in the territory of the great Mayor Zamora. What I mean is, do you really expect UP to shoot better than 48% and LaSalle to shoot better than 59% in a single game again? Do you expect them both to shoot
No, no.
40% from three, 46.2, 40% from three for LaSalle, 46.2% from UP? By the way, they're flipping the script. I was not satisfied with their efficiency from Beyond the Arc last season. And now, look, we're going to take three threes and we're going to make like two of them. Okay. Um, I don't think either team can sustain this kind of volume and even efficiency, not only against each other, but also against other opponents. So obviously, as this preseason and eventually as the actual UAAP season progresses, their offense will not only like change, but actually change for the better, like evolve, because scouting reports will start to trickle in, not only from these preseason tournaments, but from the actual UAAP games. And they'll be able to refine, they'll be able to watch film, they'll be able to see how their sets work against actual UAAP defenses. Okay. So with that in mind, as impressive as Cortez and Baclaan looked uh last night, can they really put up like over 50 points per game? I think on a playmaking perspective, they're going to learn to involve their teammates more. And again, as you said, both of them are elite facilitators. I'm pretty sure they could be able to pull that off. On the UP side, however, um, count me impressed that they shot better than 46% from deep last night. The question is, are you going to commit to this? Paninindigan nyo ba talaga to? Okay? Is your new identity, part of that new identity on offense, going to be we're going to shoot efficiently from beyond the arc. So, tignan natin. Kasi sa ngayon, meron pa rin mga katakot-takot na pull-up out of nowhere na pareho tayong nagki-cringe na nakikita natin from the Maroons. But again, it's one huge experiment and they're gonna be able to fine-tune this. And to your point, Navs, these defensive coordinators, again, they should be exalted. Names of buildings should be in their favor. Talking about who's the defensive coordinator on the De La Salle side, Navs? Yung parang
I,
counterpart ni Tom Chua.
I think it's Coach Mon.
Oh, Coach Mon. All right. So,
I
shout
think
out to
so.
Coach Mon. Right. So, I think there's a reason that these guys, really have the ears of their respective head coaches. Kasi pag pinag-aralan nila yan at nirefine nila not only how to make their offense more efficient, but also how to better contain itong mga star players nitong opposing sides. I think the next time that we see these two teams in action, Navs, I think it will be a slower game. I think it will be a duller game than this one, and it will pick up towards the fourth quarter. Such would be the gravity, I think, of the adjustments that both of these teams will be making.
So interesting points there. First of all, I didn't see Coach Tom in yesterday's game. Maybe I just missed him, but I didn't really see him on the bench. I'm not sure if you guys saw him on the TV screen, if he was on the bench or not. And he's UP's defensive coordinator. So if he wasn't there, then obviously that's a big factor as well because he knows how to change the defensive calls on the go, right? The two best paint scorers for UP last season, meaning near the rim, were QMB and Francis. And we've mentioned this that they're not there anymore. So who becomes the paint scorer for UP? Is it Noruka? Because if it's Naruka, I think he's capable of doing it, but I think you need someone else to be able to help him, right? And you have a team that they're great shooters. A lot of these players for UP, Iniguez, Briones, Alarcon, Abadiano, Fortea, who I thought was the best player for UP yesterday. Honestly, I thought Terrence was the best player with how timely his buckets were, how he was getting them. And we saw that when that outside shooting and the jump shots are going in and humming, then UP's offense can be very explosive. Like they erased that 12-point DLSU lead in the first quarter in the snap of a finger, and then they ended up even going up by 6 in the second quarter. So that's like an 18-point turnaround in about 10 or 12 minutes, give or so. But when there will be games that the jump shots aren't falling, and the question becomes how do you get to the paint and how do you score at the rim? And I think that's where Naruka comes in very important. That's where he becomes very essential. And you need more from the likes of Gianni Stevens. Sean Alter didn't play, but when he's on the court, he needs to be able to score in the paint. But at the same time, too, you're not going to face LaSalle every game. And this was a big test for UP as well, right? It's a tough Green Archers team. It's a tough team because now you have those two guards and Mike Phillips still patrolling the rim protection. And then you got the wings also to help with defense. So it's a good early preview of what's to come, but at the same time I expect both teams to make some adjustments and I expect both teams to be even more prepared for the next matchup, probably a lower scoring matchup. And I mentioned earlier I expect these teams to face each other 10 times in 2025. The reason why is so the first FilOil game, and then I was told the FilOil finals this year is a best of 3. So I assume that's gonna go 3 games because I just assume the Salle UP series are gonna go 3 games now, no matter what. So that's 4. They're gonna face each other in the finals if they advance in the WUBS, which, if you ask me right now, I think they will. So that's 5. And then 2 elimination round games in the UAP. I think they'll make the finals and face each other 3 times again. That's 10 possible times they face each other in 2025, which I don't know whether to be fearful or excited. Probably more excited, but it's gonna be intense no matter what. That's just my guess right now. And I promise you guys.
What I'm excited about, Navs, is you pulled off mathematics right there. Add them up, that's 10.
Well, sometimes I can do it. And I don't want to sound like we're disrespecting the other schools because we're gonna talk about them shortly from now as well. One team in particular, I'm very impressed with. Although I think safe to say, at least right now, June 1, the last month of the first half of 2025, I think UP and LaSalle are the two best teams in the UAP.
I cannot believe I did not mention this, Navs, and this guy played just 10 minutes. Wow. One full quarter. Okay. Basically one quarter. Bright Nuanco, I think, was a
Hmm.
welcome sight, okay, on the DLSU side because forget okay, how many is this? Forget the 6 points that he scored. The guy was a plus 12 because of his energy, because of his rim protection, because of his deterrence, because of the way that he was discouraging certain players from even coming down the lane. So, uh, I was gonna ask you, but I think the proof is in the pudding. Uh, that's not Henry Agonani on my TV screen. If Bright Noanko is really gonna be the FSA for the LaSalle this season, then damn, that's a great choice.
Agunan is out for season 88. He's still going to be recovering from injury for season 88, so I don't think he's going to be lined up. So it's going to be either Nwankwo or Collins Akowe. Oh, I see your eyes just got really big there.
Did you just say? Did you just drop a bomb, Nabs?
Well, I'm not saying Akowe is committing to DLSU. I'm just saying that DLSU is one of the teams he's considering, along with UST and some schools from abroad. So if Akowe does not commit to DLSU, I think, again, just I think, not reporting, I think it will be Noangko. But if Collins does commit to DLSU, I think it's going to be Collins, which means Mike and Collins are going to be the two big guys of DLSU's front line.
Aggregate the video, cut it up, snip it up, post it on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook. This man thought he was going to be subtle about it. Jesus Christ.
I
Okay.
mean, I mean, And by the way, thanks to Collins, he showed up in our the Navs Effect basketball runs last week. Listen, can I just say real quick? It was like a fantasy come to life to just throw the ball up and someone would grab it and dunk it every time. Like I've been waiting my whole life to do that. So Collins, thank you, man. Much love. You dunked everything. I really appreciated it. That was so fun to watch and be part of. I
Dude,
even
it's
have
not just anyone catching your lobs and dunking it. It's
Collins a
who I
Koe.
believe. It's who I believe, and I'm gonna drop not a not so subtle one. It's who I believe is the MVP. And you know how I feel about this award, Nabs. It's who I
Oh
believe is
my
the MVP of
god.
the juniors.
That's
Colin Sakoe, thank you for making Naveen Ganglani happy by dunking his lobs, man.
really, Collins, appreciate. He even made a 3 point shot off one pass that I posted on Instagram. Shout out to Collins, man. He's gonna come in more runs. I've talked to him, so Simon, you gotta pull up sooner than later. Let's see. Okay, so final thoughts here. Man, I lost my train of thought. I went back to Collins dunking every time I got him the ball. Let's see. No, yeah, I think that it's a good early preview, but I think we're still far away from really determining who's the better team because we have 6 more months before we know who will be the champion of the UAP, and who knows, someone else might crash the party. But at least from yesterday's perspective, how electric, how explosive, how talented, how deep both teams are, and how close they were. Because I know the final score showed that DLSU won by 7, but there were moments there it was actually really back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I think these are the at least the two teams right now that everyone is trying to catch. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's trying to catch. Who's your 1 and 2 right now from these two?
uh The results don't lie. Despite the Jacob Baila absence, I think it would have made a difference. I mean, we'll put LaSalle at 1. We'll put UP at 2. And I have only 2 words: Jacob freaking Cortez. Welcome to the UAAP, my brother.
It wasn't exactly like Mike, but I swear how he was playing with the spin moves, the speed, the pull ups, felt
The
like I
mid
was 8 years
range.
old again. The mid range, pushing the pace, it felt. And by the way, his younger brother is joining the team next month. Mikey Cortez, who I've heard is already a better 3 point shooter than Jacob is. We'll see if that's true. And he's coming in straight out of high school, so he has 5 years if he plays out all the 5 years. And that Cortez legacy is continuing at DLSU. I mean, gonna be exciting to see Jacob and Mikey on the court together, just from a nostalgic perspective, and then maybe seeing Mike on the stands wearing the green and white shirt. From all of us who grew up as UAP kids watching those teams, I think that's gonna be pretty cool.
Yes, Mike Cortez on the sidelines still showing no emotion whatsoever, even as his two sons compile highlight after highlight. But man, shout out to Mike Cortez. Actually, nakilala ko na lang din siya sa PBA, but God, every time, just about every championship team that he was in, his contributions were absolutely indispensable. So, one father to another, cool cat. We're very happy for you.
Absolutely. And to the UP fans, I'd have a few things to watch out for, particularly that I know it's basketball fundamentals, but who can penetrate and who can get to the rim. I think someone will rise to the occasion and do that. I'm just curious, who will it be? Will it be Harold? Will it be Jerry? Will it be Jacob? Will it be a big man playing more inside out? Because this is gonna be a kind of new UP team, not exactly overall, because I think at the core of who UP is, they're gonna remain the same. Against LaSalle, I want your thoughts on this in particular, Simon. Do you agree with me that the style UP has played with over the years, running, fast, getting out on the break, scoring in transition, run and gun, LaSalle can match that now as well with those two guards. Do you agree? Compared to
I
before, at least.
I thought they were able to match that with KQ because the guy was an athletic beast. But now, nag-iba lang yung itsura. Kumbaga, nagkaroon lang ng, oh, now we're gonna get into science. Is that mitosis? Meiosis? Nag-split yung cell, whatever the case may be. So, it was KQ running the break dati. Ngayon, You have Baclan on one side, you have Cortez on one side, ang sakit sa ulo. So, definitely, kung takbuhan, takbuhan, and UP and LaSalle will run till the cows come home.
And one more thing too. This will be a different kind of matchup once Remogot figures out how to attack the LaSalle defense. I thought Mike really trapped him and limited him a few times, but once Ray kind of discovers maybe getting off ball and attacking in different spots on the court, he will have to change his game a bit. But you know what? When the level of basketball is tougher, what separates the great players from the good players is how dynamic you are. Well, can you only attack the same way over and over again? Or can you add versatility to your game where you attack in different ways and make the defense work extra harder? That's the next test for Remogat, and I feel like he's gonna figure it out somehow. Simon, let's get to the next topic here. I'm just gonna come out of it right away and say I think Ateneo is the third best team in the UAP right now. I do.
Ooh.
Now, assuming everything goes according to plan and Divine ideally commits after he graduates, I think they're the third best team in the UAAP. I do. And look, shout out to my guy Sean Tuano. I posted in my IG story last night during the game. I think LaSalle and UP are far and beyond better than anyone in the UAP. My dude Sean Tuano replied to my IG story and was like, "You gotta put us up there. We're coming for everyone." And I like that confidence. And by the way, they might not have won Asia Basket, but they were awfully impressive. That first game, they were leading LaSalle almost from start to finish until LaSalle's experience where they flipped the switch in the fourth quarter won them the game. And then in the finals, they got off to such a bad start against DLSU. But if you take out that bad start, they played LaSalle even the rest of the way. I think they've become the third best team in the UAAP. With Ladi, with a better Tuano, Bongo having improved, Kyle Gamber suddenly looking like Terence Fortea, and an FSA who's actually serviceable in Adili compared to Balogun. Let's tip our caps to the Balogun Believers Club of last season. We are always you guys are always in our thoughts, but Adili and Ladi, that front court is really good. And Espinosa's improved. Jared Bahay looks like he got better. I don't think they're gonna miss Porter that much because they got deeper in his position, and we haven't even seen the Phil-Am recruits yet. The two one and duns, Escobar and Jaden Lazo, I believe, if I'm recalling correctly. Man, and UST with no longer having Tongkara. Now, Akowe is also being recruited by UST. So if Akowe goes to UST, I think that would catapult UST back to the third spot for me. But going from Tongkara to Osang, I think Peter's a good player, but I think Tongkara's a little bit better. So I think right now Ateneo's overlap them to some degree. Overlap them and NU.
So I was about to say, so now are you going to put Ateneo over NU? Okay, so look, what they had last year, and I keep asking you about this. Are they gonna get Lazaro back? Are they gonna get Tuanyo back? Because if they're gonna get those two workhorses that had refined their offensive game last year, then Jared Bahay is in his year two. I think Femi Edu has tremendous untapped potential. Tapos dadagdag mo pa yung Ladi tsaka yung Adili. And shout out to Ateneo because they went from God's love to divine. So talagang may basbas tayo dyan. So yeah, and then of course, let's not forget that the man who is mentoring them is the same guy who was on the verge of winning 4, 5, 6 straight championships at one point, Coach Tab Baldwin. So yes, Ateneo looks like they are a force to be reckoned with in season 88.
I think Coach Tab is gonna remind everyone that when he gets good players in his system, they can really come together well. Now, every coach needs great players to win games. Man, look, Eric Spoelstra is the best head coach in the NBA to me, but the Heat were garbage for so much this season because of the team construction. Hey, Pat Riley, do your job, bro. But at the same time, too, you need good players and you need the players to connect well with each other on the court. And what I like about Ateneo is, yes, they can be jump shot dependent sometimes, but then they have slashers they can rely on. They have Tuano, who is a great slasher. I feel that Adili does a good job getting the ball in his spots, even if he's really young and finding ways to score. If he can improve on the foul trouble, because he tends to pick up fouls real quickly sometimes, that could really help him out too. And I like Tuano's message because it kind of is indicative of their mindset where nobody's really expecting us to win. Nobody thinks we're contenders, but we're going to go out there with the mindset of we're supposed to beat everyone. And sometimes that irrational belief is very helpful. You need to be irrationally confident sometimes because that's how that belief starts and that's how that belief turns into reality. And again, I'm not coming out here and predicting that Ateneo is going to win a championship, but I'm coming out here and saying if you guys think Ateneo is not going to be in the conversation for the final four, you are going to be proven very wrong.
Imagine how fun that would be, Nabs, because UP and LaSalle would be fighting and clawing and scratching to get to number one. Because if Ateneo gets to number three, if I'm UP or I'm LaSalle, I do not want to face a Tab Baldwin coach team with this many pieces, with these many weapons. And imagine the Final Four matchup in that scenario would either be UP versus Ateneo, Battle of Katipunan na naman, or Ateneo versus LaSalle. I heard that they did not like each other years ago. So
Years ago.
napakaganda ng matchup na yun. Years ago or I don't know, kahapon.
I don't know. When Mason Amos was introduced at Moro a few weeks ago, that felt pretty intense. But you know what this Ateneo team reminds me of is the 2016 team. You remember the squad that lost Tolentino, Perez, Cani, Pingoy before the season because of academics, but then they still had some in 30 as well. Oh no, 30 came back. Yeah, 30, that was the year 30 came back. But they had some quality young players coached by a good coach, and they almost won game one of the finals against as an underdog against that DLSU team that would go on to win the championship. And they were the only team to beat DLSU's 2016 Mayhem roster. Let's not forget that. The one with Jeron, Perkins, Embala, Ateneo, that young Ateneo team was the only team to beat them. And this squad kind of reminds me of that. Not exactly in terms of how the players look, they're all similar, but in terms of that underdog flying under the radar mentality. And then before you know it, oh wow, these guys are good. We can't take them for granted. Now, I also don't want to sleep on NU because I think Padrones and Palacielo are maybe the best post players in the UAP right now. N- Mike is more of a face-up guy in my opinion, but like back to the basket and just using your heft and your body, Palacielo and Padrones are really good. So NU's solid. I feel like I need to see more consistency in offense from them to put them up there. And like I said, I think UST to me is the ultimate swing team this season where I see it going really good where they could crash the finals and upset someone, but I could see it also going the other way where they go on a losing streak during the season and then you're just surprised they're fighting for their final four lives in the final week of the elimination round. But I think those five are the final four squad with all due respect to FEU. I think and UE and Adamson, but I think those are the five best teams in the UAP right now. My rankings would be I'm still gonna give one to UP because they're the defending champions. And I think I need to see DLSU just beat them one more time maybe in the preseason before I say, okay, maybe LaSalle is number one. So it's more of a 1A, 1B, 1A UP, 1B LaSalle. So I would put Ateneo at 3, I would put UST at 4, NU at 5, Adamson at 6, FEU at 7, UE at 8. But 6, 7, 8 can be, you know, it can interchange to be honest.
Fluid.
I am excited for the John Abate breakout season though. I think John Abate might be in the mythical 5.
I have no further comment, Your Honor, on John Abate except for his beautiful lock of hair. Because now with this lock of hair, this dude is getting to the rim with ease, even more ease than last season. Yung pull-ups niya talagang napaka-swish and just a tremendous boost of confidence. So we're loving the hair, John. And balik ka dito sa Navs Effect.
John, you're always welcome here, my guy. Appreciate you. Okay, let's talk about the VJ per move to UP. I haven't had you on to talk about the situation yet. For those of you who missed it, My last episode actually was breaking down the behind the scenes story of Preto UP. I'm not sure if you got to listen to that, Simon, but I went on some details. Since that episode came out, I've learned more details about some of the things that happened, but we're not really going to get into that because it's done now. I want to talk about what this means for UP long term. I bet you guys wish Pre could play right away this season because he seems like the exact guy that you need right now based on yesterday's game. He has 2 seasons of eligibility with UP in 89 and 90. The goal is for him, at least, is to get to abroad and play internationally. UP has a proven track record of getting their guys abroad with successful UAP seasons. What does this do for UP moving forward post Bullpups era?
I think they've found the guy. And I was harping on it earlier. Sino yung go-to guy nyo? I think at the very least for season 89, actually we have a 1A and a 1B. Merong Remogat if he still stays and merong VJ Pre. Now, I put that huge qualifier on Remogat because Navs, honestly, my gut feel is there's a huge possibility that he's not going to be sticking around for the long term. Obviously, it's too early to tell, but given that this guy has a flashy style of play that's tailor-made for Korea, perhaps even Japan, but more Korea in that regard, I think UP is wise to have that insurance policy and grabe naman yung insurance policy mo. The reigning rookie of the year, VJ Pre. In terms of how he fits into the grabe pinag-uusapan na natin yung offense ng UP in season 89. Wow, that's how forward we are thinking. He's the guy who's going to hold it all together. Okay? He's going to be what Francis or perhaps what JD was in years past because that's how versatile he is, playing in and out, and then even contributing on the defensive end as well. But now I'm going to give a shout out to a guy that you probably didn't expect we'd be giving a shout out to in this episode. Two words once again. RV Poyos. I've been watching this guy
Mm.
on Pinoy Liga Navs, and this guy thrills me. Okay, lightning quick, hustles on the defensive end. There was one sequence in that last game, I forget who their opponent was. Yung defender, so he was the defender. He blocks the shot. The opposing guy gets the ball again, and then the guy goes up for another shot. He swipes down, and then Poyos is off to the races. Wag niyong tutulugan itong batang to, RV Poyos, because of course, Payosing's coming in, Pre is coming in, all these other star-studded recruits, maybe even an Andy Himaus sighting in season 89. But I'll be damned if RV Poyos doesn't make that season 89 lineup. This guy impresses me, dude.
He is very impressive. And I think even that other kid that UP just recruited that went under the radar from San Beda Labang, Panahon, it's time. It's gonna be time. Sorry, I was trying to make a pun there, but Panahon. Panahon. I can't wait for that. I like that. Good job, Simon. I like how you did the whole Dame Time celebration. I think that would be good
Pino
for
version.
Jonas. Nah, I got to speak to VJ for a few minutes yesterday, and what I'm gonna say is he seems at peace with his decision. I know there were some questions about whether or not he was being coerced into making this choice. Number one, like I reported, going to UP was VJ's decision. He wanted to go to UP. I'm not sure that made some players from LaSalle very happy, particularly after they visited him in Pampanga, but that's in the past now. But he's at peace with his decision by going to UP. The I talked to some people from UP yesterday, and I already explained in my last episode that I don't get into financial figures for a reason, and I'm not going to go into that again. What I was told over and over again was he looked at the lineup of UP and he saw that it would be a good fit because in his position where he plays, he would slide right in and get the chance to work on his game and develop his game and play an important role. And that was really what sold him. Now that's what they told me. I know some people have, commented on my posting. They don't believe that. It's all about the money, whatever. You know what? If you guys want to believe that, go ahead. I'm not here to tell you guys how to live your lives, but I'm telling you guys what I was told. And when I talked to VJ, he seemed happy. And to me, that's the most important part for the kid. He's still a teenager, figuring out where he's going in his life. This was an adult decision for a teenager, a young adult, and he made it. He's got to live with it, and right now he seems like he doesn't have any regrets with his decision. His teammates are already, making him feel like part of the team, so good for him. And I speak for a lot of people, and I say I'm just excited to see VJ Pre play basketball on the court again because this guy is a superstar. A superstar in the making, rather. He's not quite a superstar yet, but he has superstar potential for college basketball, and he's gonna get to play for a system and a team that will allow him to maybe not exactly put up huge scoring numbers or statistics across the board, but play in important games. Now, I also think that FE would have put him in the position to really succeed and develop into the player that he wants to be, that he needs to be to accomplish his pro goals. But he's decided to leave FEU. That's now in the past, and here we are moving towards the future. He's gonna make UP a contender for as long as he stays in that lineup. That's for certain. And I'm sure you're very excited to see him in action.
I am excited to see him in action. What I want to know is what chichirya he was eating at the FilOil arena yesterday kasi habang nasa-stress yung UP at yung Lasal na mag-score on the court, I think he was probably eating chips. So we're very excited to see you at kung kailangan mo ng kausap, nandito lang kami. Pre. And Abs, I think my time is running short, so I'm gonna ask you this final question because I know you want to get your thoughts out on this. How long do you think it will take for the Oklahoma City Thunder to defeat the Indiana Pacers in the NBA Finals?
I give Indiana a legit chance.
Okay.
Because when you look at OKC, their best strength is their defense and turning the opponents over. But Halliburton can keep the ball secure and they have Chris Pasek. Now, with all of that said, I think the Thunder win in 6 games, but I think it'll be a more competitive series than people give it credit for. And the main reason why I'm going with the Thunder is because in late game situations, I trust SGA more than anyone else in both teams' lineup. A quick note also, VJ Pre ordered an iced mocha from Cooper's Coffee House yesterday. I was also in line and I got my traditional absolutely delicious iced brown butter latte, the best coffee in Manila. Shout out to Alec Villavicencio. Thank you for bringing Cooper's because that's an incredibly yummy coffee shop. Now, before we go, Simon, go ahead. Ask me some UAP questions you want to ask
No,
or
come
some
on, man.
recruitment questions.
I don't have any coffee in front of me, so why the hell are you bringing up these delectable images
Hey,
that
that's
I?
why we have Grab and Food Panda.
All right, all the way in San Juan, my brother. Okay. All
No,
right.
they have other branches. They have other branches. Cooper's Coffee House.
You're welcome, Cooper's Coffee House. Okay. Baka naman. All right.
Baka naman, GCs.
I'm probably just gonna ask this one question, Navs. If you had to name just one more school with the biggest bomb yet to drop, because the off season is winding down and we're nearing the September play date, and again, this man is becoming more uncomfortable as I speak. Which school is going to drop the biggest bomb in the next couple of months, my friend?
I expect something to drop in the next week. I expect a player from a Final Four contender in the UAP to leave his current team and then go to another Final Four contender.
And that awkward pause is me doing the math.
I can tell you off the record.
You
I
will.
can tell you. I'll tell you off the record.
Let's
Well,
go.
okay. So, and there are two more guys we haven't talked about yet, Porter and Akowe. We already kind of went into detail. For Collins, I think it's LaSalle and UST locally, unless a surprise team comes out of nowhere. And he also has offers from abroad, so he's also considering that. With Porter, I think it comes down to UST, FEU, or CSB. Yeah, I think it's gonna be one of those three schools. And then who knows? Like I said, we might have a surprise out of nowhere when you least expect it. Hey, let's remember too. I mean, Rubik hasn't decided where he's going next as well. I think he's gonna end up in the NCAA, but he is a talented point guard. Don't get me wrong. I mean, He didn't get a lot of run in LaSalle, but this is someone who can contribute to a team, particularly if he goes to the NCAA where he's comfortable with the style of play there. And one more thing, there's this one guard who just left his NCAA team and he's currently deciding between San Beda or UE. I saw him at the game yesterday, actually. I got to talk to him. That's why I found out about it. So there are four. Wait, how many things did I mention? Rupico, Porter, Akowe. Oh, almost slipped there. Three. I'm expecting five more, maybe six. Five more, maybe six. So we'll see how it goes. One last question before I let you go. 1 to 10, how worried are you of LaSalle for UP?
How worried am I about LaSalle's chances of reclaiming the title this season?
Of dethroning UP after yesterday's game. 1 to 10. What's your worry scale?
Uh, 5 or 6. I mean, again,
Wow! I
no,
like the
no, no.
confidence.
Okay,
I like it.
okay, look, because I'm gonna have people coming after my blood. But
Don't
honestly,
worry, I
5 or 6.
got you. Whoever deals with
Okay,
Simon has to deal with me, man.
thanks. Cortez looked like the beast. I can't harp on that enough, but come on. It's the preseason, may mga hindi lang tinatagong player, tinatagong plays. And UP's offense got exponentially better towards the tail end of that second round last year because I think QMB was giving them plays that he learned from Jerry Stackhouse at
Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt, right? So, marami pang pwedeng mangyari. There were a lot of defensive schemes na ine-expect kong i-deploy ni Coach Tom. Again, I'm also not sure if he was there, but it's one preseason game, and if we overreact to this, then I will be canceled by the entire UP community. So I'm not gonna do that. 5 or 6, my brother.
I like that. I like the confidence. And I would, if I had to answer the question for, I would probably say seven, just a little bit above you. But I don't think UP should be overly worried. And again, it's the first chapter of what could be a 10 chapter rivalry for 2025. If I reverse the question and I asked, how confident should LaSalle be after beating UP? I would put it as a six. Like, I would be confident because I found some areas where it seems like they can attack UP's defense. But knowing UP, LaSalle should be ready for the counters, and we might get to see that in the finals of FilOil. But who knows? Maybe someone else crashes the party. I would be open to someone else crashing the party. Honestly, I really wished Ateneo joined this tournament. I really do. Simon, I mean, I get it, the academics, the trip to Madrid coming up they have this week. But man, I wish Ateneo was there. Man. What's your one wish list? I know I keep asking you final questions, but I just don't want to let you go. I love talking UAP and college basketball. What's your one wish list for this season that you want to see that no one give me like an unexpected wish list, but just one item on that wish list that you really want to see this season?
From any team or from any
No,
player?
not UP or LaSalle related.
From so basically from any team. Parang something that I want to happen from anywhere
Yes.
here in the
From the
UAE.
other six teams not named UP or LaSalle.
Okay, from the other 6 teams. Oh, here's one. Let's have sorry, this sounds like hating. Let's have a couple of other obviously magkakaroon ng dalawa pang Final Four teams kaya nga 2 plus 2. This should be called the math episode, Navs. So maliban sa UP and LaSalle, presumptive, right? So obviously there will be two other teams. Let's have two other teams with an above 500 record making it to the Final Four.
Oh.
Sometimes I think parity is overrated. Minsan naman kailangan yung talagang papasok dun sa Final Four, yung record talagang pumasok kami dito kasi talagang denominate namin kayo. And there was that long period of uncertainty, remember Navs, last season na hindi ba tayo sure kung sino papasok sa Final Four because there were so many people jammed up in the middle. Perhaps that is a testament to how competitive this league exactly is. But perhaps this is me also challenging those other teams. Kung Final Four kayo, Final Four talaga kayo, panindigan nyo yan. Like, really put a stomping to these other teams and make sure na you win more games than you lose. Obviously, if by virtue of tiebreakers, ganyan, by virtue of winning yung playoff for that final four position. Obviously, you could get in, but yeah, let's have a couple of teams na perhaps 8-6 or something yung record nila. So perhaps that would be my wish list.
New rule. If you do not have at least a 500 record, meaning 7-7, you are not allowed to qualify for the Final Four. How about that? I like that rule. I think it's fair, right? Like if
And
let's
this
say
motion,
the fourth seed is 6-8 or 5-9, you're out. It becomes a step ladder Final Four. Why not? We have a step ladder when someone sweeps the tournament. Yeah, wait for the Adamson fans to come after me again. Simon, thanks so
again,
much for thanks so much for joining me, bro. It's awesome to talk UAP with you as always. I can't believe we went for almost an hour and a half. Much love. I'll see you around at the games. And by the way, shout out to that UP fan. I am so bad with names. I apologize. I am so sorry. But yesterday at Brothers Burger, after the game, when I was waiting for my food, a UP fan, a dad, and his son he was wearing a Terrence Fortea shirt, talked to me and said that he listens to my podcasts, particularly the ones you and I are in, while he drops his son to work in the morning. So that was such a heartwarming moment. So again, sir, thank you so much for I'm sorry if I forgot to ask your name, but thank you so much for the kind words. And thank you to all the
sir.
listeners. Thank you to the viewers for listening to me and Simon ramble about something we love absolutely dearly. If you're a returning listener or a new listener, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz. Simon will be back on this podcast. College basketball season is heating up. God bless everybody. Peace.
It's just I'm
Thanks,
out.
Simon.